through the ages.
For 50 years, Warner Robins Christian Methodist Episcopal Church has stood as a beacon of hope, a place of worship, and a home of generations of believers. Built on an unshakable foundation, our story is woven through the testimonies of those who lived it. Join us as we celebrate 50 years of faithfulness through the voices of the people who helped shape our journey. Be on the lookout for various episodes of testimonies from members who have been with us all 50 years and more.
All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Q, and I am creating a video memoir of 50 years of Warner Robins CME. And today I'm here with Mr. Alton Mattox. We call him the daddy of the family because he loves us all.
That's a fact.
He is a long-term educator, but he is a part of the 50-year history of Warner Robins CME. And so today we're going to sit with him and have a conversation about some of his fondest memories of being a part of this congregation. So Mr. Mattox, thank you so much for agreeing to do this for me. So tell us, which are you, from Sandy Run or from Oak Ridge?
Sandy Run.
All right. And so tell us how you got to here.
Well, it all started with my wife, really. She joined the church first.
Okay.
She joined in '74 under Dr. Reverend Jordan, Donald Jordan.
Okay.
And of course, later on, my son joined the church. And I was going to Plant Street Church up there in Macon. I hadn't joined, but I was going to Plant Street.
Okay.
And so I joined under Dr. Jordan. In '74, I was the last of the clan of three, and so it was kind of funny how I did it when I joined. We had a meeting, and somebody somehow or another, I don't know how I ended up with it, but somebody left the money in the cigar box, the church's money. We had Sunday meetings. Our meetings were held on Sunday afternoon after church.
Okay.
And somebody left that money in there. Of course, I took the money and took it on home. And then when I called Reverend Jordan and told him about it, and he told me just to keep it until the next meeting and we would meet. So I joined in '74 as well.
Okay. I was 4 years old then.
4 years old. Yeah, you were quite young, weren't you? You were quite young.
So I've interviewed Henry Brown. You know, he a teeny tiny toddler that has been on this journey as well, and he told the story of the vote and how his mom taught him that day that his vote mattered. So I would like for you to tell us a little bit about where you stood as it related to the churches merging together.
Well, I had, from the very, very beginning, after my membership here, I had heard rumors under Reverend Rump. That was the pastor prior to Reverend Jordan's coming to Warner Robins, and they kept talking about the merger of Oak Ridge and Sandy Run. They kept saying, because Reverend Jordan was a pastor at both Sandy Run as well as Oak Ridge.
See, you just told me something new. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just assumed that he was the pastor because when Henry was telling the story, he did mention that they went to Sandy Run 2 Sundays out the month, and they went to Oak Ridge 2 Sundays out the month. But what I didn't connect was that Reverend Jordan was the pastor of both churches.
Right, but
Okay.
he was like a circuit pastor
Okay.
of the CME church here, and so it was Reverend Key. Reverend Key was the presiding elder
Okay.
for our district, and he had talked. Apparently, he had talked to both churches about merging the small congregation, because when we were at Send the Run, when we were meeting at Send the Run, Oak Ridge came over there,
Okay.
and then vice versa. When we were meeting at when he was preaching at Oak Ridge, Send the Run members went over there. So we were going back and forth and back and forth, and they said, why not just join, and become one? So they bought some land. And this is where we're sitting right now, is some land that we bought for the purpose of building a church.
Okay.
But we had not merged. We were still Oak Ridge, and they were still Oak Ridge, and we were still Send the Run. And so I kept hearing this, and then of course Sammy Nelson and Darren Lee were big people in the church, so to
Okay.
speak. And so I called. We were scheduled to have a meeting that day at Oak Ridge, and I called Brother Nelson and I called Brother Lee, Brother Darren Lee Sr. And I said, "Listen, since you all been talking about it, I said at the meeting today, I said if I offer a motion for us to join, would you second it and support me in my motion?" And I called both of them, and they both said they would.
Oh, that's awesome.
So after church was over with that day, and we had a meeting, we started the meeting and everything, and then I offered the motion, and I think Brother Lee seconded it, and then of course Sammy Nelson was the chair. Sammy Nelson was the trustee board chair at Oak Ridge.
Oh, okay.
And so brother Nelson and Brother Lee and I decided that we presented to the pastor that that was the motion.
Okay.
And so so Reverend Jordan started us to raise our hands for yay and nay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, now this is too important. He said, I tell you what, he said, all of those of you who in favor of the motion, come down to the altar.
Okay.
And those who oppose it, you stay until the vote is taken, until the positive votes are taken. So everybody sort of trickled down toward the front and took a seat. And it was a small, I thought, a majority of the people standing at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And then Reverend Jordan made a statement about the vote. And Brother Brown stood up, and his group stood up with him, because Brother Brown
Had a lot. Henry said it was a lot of them.
There was a lot of them. When he stood up, then of course the vote, it was obvious who
Right.
was going to, that the yays were going to outnumber the nays.
Right.
And so, but then there were some who stayed back, but of course that's how it got to be. When Brother Brown stood up, he confirmed
That was it.
That was it.
And I could see, because that's a conversation. I get an opportunity to be a part of some of the conversations with the bishops sometimes, and I hear them talking about taking some of these small congregations and the struggles they have with convincing them that come on, let's merge together and form one church to get a bigger outcome out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been around you a couple of times when you told a story about how the wall on that side fell in when y'all were in the building process. So could you share that moment with us?
Yeah, it was after we had gotten started with the construction, and that was the big problem, was trying to get financed to start the construction. So Williams and Company out of Macon, Georgia, became our contractor and they had started, and they had placed the cinder blocks around the church, the cinder blocks, and so the amount of money that we needed was not enough.
Right.
So we went to Presiding Elder Key and told him of our situation, and so it was some conflicts there. Sandy Run had taken its money and put it all in one pile.
Okay.
And so Reverend Key, tried to encourage Oak Ridge to do the same thing.
Right.
And so while we were waiting on the money to be decided upon by Oak Ridge as to how much they were going to give us, the construction stopped because there was no money. We had exhausted all the money that was in the pot. And so they were a little reluctant, they were a little slow in bringing the money and put it in their pot.
Right.
So during that period, the construction, as I said, the construction stopped, and it would stop for weeks and maybe months. Mm-hmm. And so we had a pretty good storm one night, mm-hmm. and it blew the west side wall in.
Oh, wow.
Here,
Uh-huh.
And of course the construction stayed that way until it was all over with.
Right.
And so that's what happened. We just stopped construction, and it wasn't until Presiding Elder Key told both Sandy Run and Oak Ridge to take every dime of their money and put it in one pot, and that was going to be the money that we were operating on, plus the money that the bank had decided to let us use, to lend us.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I've always admired about just being in this space, you can feel the prayers of the ancestors in this space. For me, I've had some moments where I needed to be still and be quiet, and I've always come back to this space because you can feel the prayers of the ancestors. And I don't mean in this particular sanctuary, I mean the original sanctuary. You can feel all their devotion, their commitment, their faithfulness, that God was going to do some big things right here.
Yes, I tell you what, it was prayer, and it was dedication. It was togetherness. Even though there were two churches, a lot of the people who went to Sandy Run were related to a lot of the people who went to Oak Ridge, and then vice versa.
Right.
And what they decided to do was that if we were going to be one church, then we were going to have to make some commitment. Because at that time, men were paying $5 a month as their tithe or their offering, and women were paying $3 a month. But you have to understand the economy at that time.
Right.
We were still living back in the days when people common laborers did not make a whole lot of money.
Right.
If you were not on the base, or if you were not a professional, then you didn't make much money.
Right.
And of course, and a lot of professionals, especially in the teaching profession, you didn't make a lot of money because I only made $305 a month to feed a wife and a dog and myself.
Oh, wow. But and you know, that's a big conversation in education these days, is that teachers are not paid enough for the amount of work they're expected to do and the number of hats that they wear. So I do understand. So I guess my question to you is, 50 years later, you've been at Sandy Run, you've been through two constructions, because you were with the first one and then you went through this one. What is probably your fondest memory of being here at Warren Robins Assembly?
Well, we forgot the fact that we used to be two churches. we became one. That's what I like. I like that oneness in it. As you said a few minutes ago, a lot of the elderly people, regardless of how much money they put into the church, we were always together. There was never anybody talking about separating and going our different ways. We were all going to, the ones who joined and said they were going to form a church at Warner Robins CME, and that's what it was going to be, and we were going to work toward that end. And so what we just decided to do was to whatever it took for us to build this church, we were going to do it. And that was the men and women of this church started paying much more money than that. Instead of the $5 by the men and the $3 by the ladies, they just made a commitment and said, we're going to tithe.
Okay.
That's what Reverend Jordan talked to us about, was tithing. And some of us tithed and some of us did not tithe. And I'm, for one, did not start tithing. I paid an offering, but I did not tithe, because tithing is 10% of your gross earnings.
Right.
And what I paid was not 10%.
Well, trust me, I understand, because when I first start attending, I was an offering girl. So whatever little bit of cash I had in my pocket, that's what I gave you. But as I've been here, I'm the product of 3 pastors, McKinney, Pastor Napier, and now Lloyd. I've learned the importance of tithing and what it actually means. I learned under Pastor Napier that it wasn't so much about money, but it also was about service and giving up your time to the church. And so tithing, I get it. And so for me, when I didn't mind giving my service to the church, because I've always looked at, I was hooked my very first visit. My son wasn't even a year old, so I'm 25 years. My son just turned 25 in December, so I'm 25 years vested in Warner Robins CME Church, and my children grew up in this church, and I tell people all the time, this is family, and just like family, we get mad at each other, we won't talk to each other for a little while, but at the end of the day, we wind up coming back to each other because we're family. And I think that's the biggest thing that I love about being a part of this congregation, is that this is my family.
Absolutely.
This is my family, and I think I've always thought that the coming together of the 2 churches, while it was to bring 2 congregations together, I still feel like it was more about family than anything else. That's what I've seen, like, as you talk to all these different members and they're related to this person and that person, and it's like one giant size family that comes together on every Sunday, every meeting, every church conference, whatever it is, family shows up. And family may not always agree, but at the end of the day, family is family.
And that's you stated it beautifully. That's exactly what happened then, and it's still happening today. No matter how we differ in our meetings and what have you, but when it's all said and done, we're one family.
Right.
And we've started out as a family, and we're continuing as a family. And as long as we have that kind of concept and that kind of belief and that kind of leadership that the pastors that we've had, all of our pastors, I got to admit, all of our pastors, starting with Reverend Jordan that I was a member of, they've always brought about that unity and kept that unity going, and we followed through with that.
And that's amazing. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do the video series, because I felt like there was more to be told than just a picture or a souvenir booklet, that there was some real story behind being a part of Warner Robins CME. Some of my fondest memories for me is I looked at D. Woods as my favorite uncle. um, who gave you great advice, who, even when he chastised you, you felt like, well, that wasn't so bad. That was really good what he had to say. And Bobby Barnes, who spread so much wisdom to our youth and stuff. And of course, you've loved on so many kids here, big and small. But you have been a common connection here.
Well, I do appreciate what you just said. I think it just, like you said, it was God would intervene. And my involvement was through the school system and through the church.
Yes.
Because the kids because first I started working at Pearl Stevens, then of course I went to Warren Robins High, then from Warren Robins High to Tabor Junior, and then of course Tabor, and then I went to the North Side, and then I came back to Pearl Stevens. That's where I ended my career at Pearl Stevens. But you said the key thing. We debated, and it became just like a lot of people tried to advise, or sometimes people took young people like you said, you mentioned Brother Wood, and then there were other people who came like Brother Crane, and just
amazing people,
amazing young man,
yeah.
and there were people like Sister Lee and Sister Wright,
yeah.
and Sister. That was just a bunch of women.
Like this
and men.
family is not just the people in the seats. It's everybody from the ancestors on, and you can feel it. I told somebody one time, I said, even when we remodeled, I said, whoever designed this kept that ancestry component to it, because I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity. I've been in here one day when the sun is at high noon and all the lights are off, and the sun casts through that window up there, and it hits directly on the cross at the altar.
Oh, gosh,
And
I hadn't seen that.
it's a really powerful testament to your hard work, the people that came before you's hard work, and even the people that are still pushing forward and keeping the work going. Yeah. It's a true testament of that, because we've come a long way now, and we still going.
Well, let me tell you something that was really astounding to me once. When we moved in here and put the carpet and everything in here, we had not paved the parking lot.
Okay.
And we were tracking mud and everything inside the building. And so we decided, Reverend Jordan called a meeting, and we decided to decide. We came in here for the purpose of trying to figure out a way we could pave the parking lot and what have you. Mm-hmm. And so people started making commitments. And then of course this one night now it was $11,000 what the man said he would do the parking lot for us. And I want you to know, one night in this building, the membership decided that they were going to pave the parking lot regardless. And I want you to know that night, $14,000 something were committed.
Oh wow!
And then one, I never forget Miss Black. Estella Black told me how much she was going to give, mm-hmm. and then Brother Bright, Brother Andrews came up to me and he said, "Well, how do you want me to give it to you?" He said, "Do you want me to give you in cash, or do you want me to give it to you in a check?" I said, "Just give me a check." And so we got that. But anyways, that night we raised $14,000 something in one night to build to pave the parking lot.
That's awesome.
And sister, and I never forget Mrs. Black said that not only was she made her commitment as to how much she was going to give, and she said, and I'm going to start giving every month. I'm going to give $33 every month. Now that might not sound like much now, but $33 was a lot of money then. You know? And so she committed herself to give $33, and quite a few people decided that night how much they were going to pay each month to make sure that not only were we going to pay the parking lot, but we were going to also start tithing, start adding on to whatever ministries that we needed to add on to. If it was a cost item there, then we were going to make the commitment to either give to that ministry, like the choir, like transportation, what have you, and the various types of trips that we were going to be making. The choir would be making, following the pastor as he would go from one church to that of another. Sometimes to preach on Sunday, or sometimes we would go into another church that it was going to require some transportation fees, and if it was going to require that, then we start paying money for transportation.
So that's where that
money
comes
for
from.
Scholarship, yes, building fund and pledges and what have you. We start making
And that's,
for the church.
I see that's been the consistency, because I've been in here before where Pastor Napier said, I need, and everybody started pulling out their checks or bringing cash. And before we knew it,
You had your money.
the money was there. Reverend Lloyd did it one Sunday. We need these headphones, and people started writing checks. And so now and one thing that I admire about this church is when you ask them to donate for specific causes, they don't donate the minimum. You walk away with exits. And I think that is a really good sign of a church that is growing and growing in the right direction.
Absolutely, because just here recently, under Dr. Lloyd, there was a baby, one of the Browns descendants, came running down the aisle, and he said, "Let her come, let her run,"
That's
because
right.
that's the church, that's the future.
Yes.
And then of course the little brown girl, and then of course there are other little ones around.
Yes.
And when you see that kind of activity going on in the church, that's life.
Yes.
That's the future.
Yes, because Pastor used to say, "Don't take that baby out. That means we still alive.
Absolutely.
Let that baby cry. She wanna cry."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, Mr. Mattox, I really appreciate you sharing your story and enlightening the people about your journey to these 50 years that we'll be celebrating in February. And I thank you so much for being a part of our video series.
Well, I thank you for asking me, because I didn't know exactly what I was going to say. And I hope I enlighten somebody, what have you, in reference to this church and the love and the dedication and the life of the many families that are still here. Because if you were born anytime after the 70s, you might have missed, and I think you would have missed the vote that was taken.
Right.
In 74.
Yeah, I because Henry Brown mentioned that. He said they mom sat them down because they were members, and she said there's gonna be a vote, and when they call for the vote, y'all gonna stand up, and that's that. And he said that was his first vote in church.
Yeah.
Ever.
And they all came down. Brother Brown was the kind of guy, he didn't send his children. Brother Brown brought, Brother and Mrs. Brown brought their children.
And he said, because he talked about the green truck that went around, because Brother Brown was the superintendent of Sunday school, and he went in the neighborhood and picked the kids up and brought them to church.
That he did.
Yes.
He was a dedicated man, just like there were so many other dedicated elderly people here at church. People came all the way from Period at church, like the Jacksons and what have you, came out of Period here to church. Every time we had a meeting, they came. When we had church service, they came to the church service.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much once again, and we look forward to seeing you 50 more years.
Thank you. Yeah, especially 50 more years. I would love to come back 50 more years. I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm going to hold you to it. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Okay, now, if it didn't come out right,
of Abraham.